morning, everybody. How we doing? Sam here, United People's TV. It's Friday. We've got Burnley tomorrow. Premier League again. After the Bayern defeat. After the Brighton defeat. After the Arsenal defeat. Well, we need a win. We need a result. We need a performance against Burnley tomorrow night. We'll be speaking about the team news. We'll be speaking about, starting 11. I'm going to do my starting 11 video a little bit later in the afternoon today. It's Friday. We're going to whip out the map today. Look, let's try and be positive where we can. I know there isn't that much positivity around the club right now. Let's be completely honest. But there's been an important appointment. Gary O'Driscoll has now officially started as the club's doctor. And let's be honest, we've got about 490 injuries. We need a new club doctor. So I'm going to speak about that appointment. We'll speak about injury boosts for the Burnley game. We'll speak about Raphael Varane. We'll speak about Sofyan Amrabat, Mason Mount. And we'll speak about the game itself. And there's lots more to talk about. And you will let me know what you want to talk about in the comments. As always, who's down here? Let's have a look. Scott Panton, good morning to you. Hem J, we've got Poz Shax. Daisy Snalem, good morning to you, Daisy. Tyler, Walter, not Walter White, Walter Baruta. Big up Walter White. Akil, Monkton, Robert, you're there as well. Ines, Chris, Brian, who's on Facebook. Ramaligan, Bakari, Steve, Chuck Woody. Sunday, we've got Danny Hap. Good morning to all of you. T, I can see you there as well. Should be a good show today. I don't know why, but I'm feeling chipper. I really don't know why, when it comes to football anyway. But last night, me and Neil, we spoke about the Bayern game. We did another podcast. I'm trying to do 2 podcast episodes a week. It's busy. It's difficult. But me and Neil spoke through the Bayern game yesterday. If you enjoy podcasts, then I would encourage you to listen to it. Lots of work goes into it. So if you can and you do enjoy it, please leave a 5-star review. It makes the world of difference to the podcast. It really, really does. It's basically the only way that podcasts get more exposure is people leaving reviews. So if you do enjoy it, go and listen to it. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple. It's on Amazon. It's on anywhere you want to listen to a podcast. It's there. It's free. You can enjoy it. Let me go here. Make sure I don't miss any membership gifts because I tell you what. Oh, wow, man. Yeah, it's Friday. I'm getting involved, man. I'm getting involved as well. Let's get this party started. Sod that. I'm going to come over the top with 10. There's 10 big ones from United People's TV to bring in 10 of you to the member community. So all of you, look, I've got to hit the gong 4 times. Look at that. Who is that? We've got Shax, Matt, Gungshi, and Aaron. All of you gifting 5 memberships each, and you inspired me. So I gifted 10 memberships. There you go. That's 4 gongs. That gong. I can't wait for that gong just to sit on my shelf, man. I seriously can't. And it's just because I keep delaying the software. It's not I keep delaying software. It's just keep getting distracted doing other things. Working really hard on the merch, and I'm working on building this studio wall. Once this studio wall is up, I really can just focus on the software, and I really, really want to. But big up to all of you, man. Anyway, the podcast is out. Hopefully you enjoy it. It's up to you. You can listen to it if you want. You don't have to. Something I want to speak about here before we go and we speak about the Gary O'Driscoll stuff. Like, imagine, like, you get a job at a newspaper. Like, I tried to do it. I remember I worked at, I think I worked at a local newspaper in Wimbledon, and I was writing about, like, the fire service and stuff like that. It's kind of the way you start. Imagine, like, you finally make it to a newspaper and you're asked to write about Andre Onana dropping his car keys. Like, you've seriously got to look at yourself and go, am I really doing this? Because it is beyond embarrassing. It is beyond shocking. And I would expect absolutely nothing less from the Daily Mail. But honestly, it's hilariously weird. It's hilariously weird. Writing an entire article because Andre Onana dropped his car keys before he got into the car. Honestly, you kind of got to look at yourself and go, is this really what I want to be doing? Weird. But they're going to go after Onana now. Any sort of negativity, they'll probably start digging into his past life and finding something he said to someone at some time and bringing it out. They're going to really try and twist the knife now that he's put pressure on himself. I've already spoken at length about the mistake that he made, about his reaction to it. Look, as United fans, we got so used. Do you remember that period? I don't know when it was. It felt like a 12-month. Was that when Juan Mata was doing his blogs? Remember that? After every defeat, he'd be like, "Oh, it's so tough to write this," and then every single player would come out with like an apology tweet, and everybody would be like, "For the love of God, can you stop sending apology tweets? Can you just start, winning football matches so you don't have to apologize?" I remember that. Yeah, I remember Juan Mata's blog as well. And then just at some point, he couldn't do it anymore. Man United broke Juan Mata. Everyone else remember that? Strange niche memory, I think. Right, let's get on to the... Oh, look at that, man. Jibak as well. Honestly, all of you, you're just the best. You are the best community. And you just are. You really, really are. This is potentially extremely significant news. It potentially is, right? So, Manchester United's new head of sports medicine has now officially taken up his role at Manchester United. Gary O'Driscoll was at Arsenal for 14 years. He was highly regarded. He didn't want to leave. He wasn't leaving to find a new job. Manchester United basically headhunted Gary O'Driscoll and brought him in. He's a United fan. I think his family's from up north. He's now Manchester United's head of sports medicine. And do you want to know something that's absolutely wild, right? Like, think about this. Oh, I think this is wild anyway. Manchester United, like one of the 3 biggest clubs in the world, right? And since February, we haven't had a full-time club doctor. We've had somebody, Jim Moxon, who stood in and took the role on an interim basis, like, I suppose, a bit like Ralph Ragnick coming in as the interim manager. It took us between February and now to appoint Gary O'Driscoll. And it's just Manchester United's injury record. To me, it feels like it can't just be. I mean, it might be, right? It might be. But it feels like our injury record can't just be because of Erik ten Hag's style of football. It feels like there's more to it. And, look, I know that I could type this in, right? Let me see if I can find this article. Because, there you go. Boom. Kind of proof of the point I'm trying to make here. It feels like there's more behind the scenes than just it being Erik ten Hag's style of football. And you'll remember that Ralph Ragnick said the exact same thing. So before Erik ten Hag even came to our club, Ralph Ragnick said that Manchester United's injury record needs to be taken care of. Man, Ragnick, eh? You remember how excited I got about Ragnick on this channel? And I've probably got a lot of pelters for it. But I for the first time in a long time, I actually saw a vision for my football club. Obviously, I think Erik ten Hag was basically the reason why Ralph Ragnick didn't stay on at the club. If ten Hag came in and said, "Yeah, I'll be fine. I'll be fine working with Ragnick," then Ragnick probably would have stayed on as a consultant. And I think that would have been a very good thing. I think Ragnick, especially with all the madness that's gone on, imagine Ragnick could have taken control of a fair few things that happened behind the scenes instead of Erik ten Hag. Anyway, that's the point I'm trying to make here, right? Manchester United bringing in a new club doctor is needed. Clearly, our sports injury department is not up to scratch. There's too much smoke. There's definitely a fire somewhere, and it's got to be put out because, as Ragnick said before ten Hag came in, our injuries were way too much. And it's kind of got worse. So fingers crossed, like Gary O'Driscoll coming in isn't going to be like, oh yeah, all of a sudden, great, our injury woes are gone. It's going to be something that takes time, but hopefully it's going to be something over the next 6 to 12 months that just significantly and step by step gets better and better and better. And look, we're playing. We're playing this style of football, man. Ten Hag's going nowhere. So we need to be able to handle it better. I'm going to see what you're saying down here in the comments. Problem was Ralph had been given the right job initially upset. Look, the Ralph Rangnick situation, man. I would absolutely love. I think of all the previous United managers, I think Rangnick would be the one I would choose to have an interview with. Because it always felt like him coming in as an interim manager was never the reason he came in. That was just kind of like, oh, well, obviously we needed an interim manager, but he hadn't managed a football club for like 2 years, man. Just hadn't managed a football team for years. He was brought in, firstly, because of his knowledge about modernizing football clubs. And he never got the opportunity to do that. Now, I know Ten Hag was part of that, but I think the club basically, dangled him with lured him in with the concept of a consultancy role and then just swept it out. Tom, I can see you there, my friend. You're gifting 5 memberships as well. This gong is getting an absolute... That was really quite loud, actually. Shouldn't do that again. It's getting an absolute spanking today. Yeah. Of all the ex-managers, I think I'd like to interview Ralph Rangnick the most. I think it'll be the most insightful. But injuries and injury boosts. And we need one, right? We need one. Well, we need more than one, actually. Like, there's a lot going wrong with the team that we have. Yeah, I know there is. I think Ten Hag is responsible for some of the mistakes as well. And I've spoken about them, and I'll speak about them a little bit more. But mitigating factors, VAR, you're just going to have to hope that the decisions start swinging our way. Because 3, I would say, really quite ridiculous ones in the last 3 consecutive games have all swung the momentum of all 3 games. Garnacho's would have been a winner. The Højlund goal would have been an equaliser just before halftime. And of course, the Bayern one, it would have been 2-1 and we would have been still on the front foot. Fingers crossed that will swing back round. And across the course of the season, it probably will. But we're in a bad patch for that. But injuries. Injuries. And this, I would say, is a serious boost. It looks like Raphael Varane is going to be fit to play Burnley this weekend. Now, he trained with the team last week, so did Mason Mount, or this week, sorry. Neither of them travelled to Munich, but it's expected that Raphael Varane will be fit for the Burnley game. Erik Ten Hag will be speaking at 1:30 this afternoon in the UK, and he'll confirm it, or he won't. I don't know. He doesn't always tell the press what they want to hear. He just tells them what he wants to say. But we need Raphael Varane back. My word, we need him back. I'm going to pull up some stats here in a second. There's a couple of super chats here. Let me read these out first before I move on. Tina, what are you saying? Thank you very much. You're saying, when the owners don't invest money in the club like Old Trafford, the training complex, and everything around Old Trafford needs a big overhaul. Hey, Tina, yeah, preaching to the choir here. Everything at Manchester United needs modernising. Pretty much. I'm trying to think of, are there any elements of our football club, honestly, and I don't mean this in like a massively negative way, but it's just like the truth. Are there any elements of our football club that you would say that's bang up to date? That's right there. That's as good as it could be. I don't know if there's anything. I really don't. Basil, what are you saying? You're saying, just went to renew my membership and was gifting one. Thank you so much. Look at that, man. Big up to you, Basil Funkenstein, which is a hell of a name. Imagine that. Imagine you're christened that. Well, it'd be awesome if your parents' name was Funkenstein. Basil, not so much. Let me see what you're saying down here. Amrabat is the must, says Samir. I'm going to be speaking about Amrabat next. But let's have a quick look at these, because this is, look, you know me. I appreciate a good stat. I think stats and data are so important to modern football that you can't just ignore it. You can't brush it. You can't just live by it, and just, you know, the eye test is important as well when it comes to footballers. But if you have a look at these, right, this green chart here, that's Raphael Varane. Pink is Lindelof. and blue is Lisandro Martinez. And you can see in terms of carrying, in terms of aerial duels, in terms of overall duels, in terms of defensive actions. Look, Raphael Varane so far is by far and away our most impactful defender. And without him in the team, we have been leaking goals left, right, and centre. Now, I'm not saying that if Raphael Varane comes back in, we're keeping clean sheets all of a sudden, but I tell you what, we certainly will be more defensively resolute. And we need that. Like, we've conceded 3 goals in 3 or more goals in 3 consecutive games for the first time since 1978. It's bad. Of course, our defense and the how bad our defense is not just about the defenders. Onana has to be better. I spoke about that. I think it's fair to say. He knows that. Of course he does. And I've no doubt that he will be. But it's, for me, it's the midfield as well. And there's a good comment there from Ant saying Varane's calm allows Martinez to sort of be the aggressor that he wants to be, because he's got Varane alongside him that he knows will just be there 24/7 just to cover up. Just in case he overcommits, Varane will be there to shore up behind him. It's a really good point there. I thought Martinez, actually, by the way, against Bayern, probably looked... I mean, we conceded 4 goals, so I can't exactly say he had an incredible game. But he just looked a little bit sharper, a little bit more aggressive than he had been in games previous. That's what I would say about him. But of course, there's one player that you know full well that I'm desperate. Honestly, at this point, I'm desperate to see Amrabat make his Man United debut. And it's peak Man United, really, that we're 5 Premier League games, 6 games into the season now, and we are still yet to see a significant summer signing play for us. Rasmus Højlund hasn't completed 90 minutes for us. He started 1 Premier League game. Not only do we have injury problems at the club, we sign injured players too. Honestly, if you don't laugh, you cry. But Amrabat, for me, I know what I'm doing, right? I'm consciously aware that I really am hyping Amrabat up. And it's a bit of a risky game, I suppose, because Amrabat, I mean, I would probably say the majority of signings take time. The majority of signings need a bedding in period. They need to get used to the rigors of the Premier League. They need to get used to playing for Manchester United, and that takes time. Casemiro came to the club as probably the world's best defensive midfielder, and it took until, what was it, Everton away? It took like 3 or 4 games for Casemiro to be like, wow, there he is. There's Casemiro. So it even took Casemiro a few games. But Amrabat, we are just so desperate. And I keep saying it's boring, but it's completely true. That first phase midfielder, that midfielder who is there every single time Onana has the ball at his feet, Amrabat is available for a pass. Always. That's what we need a midfielder to be. And once we have that, we should, bit by bit, start playing like Ten Hag wants to. Everyone keeps saying that we haven't got an identity. We haven't got a style of play under Erik Ten Hag. I know exactly what his style of play is. You can go and watch the 2019-20 season at Ajax. Is it 2019-20? I think it is. You can see how he wants his team to play. It's very, very clear. We're not there yet. And this sort of player is who we are missing. Amrabat. So fingers crossed he's in for the game against Burnley. I suppose we'll get confirmation from Erik Ten Hag at his press conference this afternoon. I think I might have missed another one. Wow. Jeez. Oh, my God. Alex, you just gifted 5. Anthony, you gifted 5. And Stu and Gungshi have gifted 10 each. Man, it is a... Wow. You just got to stand back and appreciate what we've built here. Honestly, you've all made it happen, by the way. I've facilitated, but all of you are that. I'm just going to do one big gong for everyone. Otherwise, I'll be hitting it 24/7. One big community gone back. easily the thing I'm most proud of in my life is what I've built here at United People's TV. So a lot of graft. People might look at it and say, well, I'd love to be a YouTuber. I hate that term, but I suppose it's kind of what I am in part. But it's taken me like 7 years, thereabouts to reach this point. And now we're here. And United have been absolutely crap. Do you know how funny that is? It's not funny, but it's funny. First year I had my season ticket was David Moyes' season. And I've been doing this for 7 years. And we've been crap for 7 years. So fingers crossed at some point, we actually start winning. And Amrabat coming in is a big, big one. And I tell you, I'm looking forward to Mason Mount coming back as well. And there's going to be people in the comments down here, right? Oh, Mason Mount, Mason money, blah, 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 blah. Erik Ten Hag will be buzzing to get Mason Mount back in. The thing is, though, well, I've spoken about this. All these mitigating factors, all these injuries, the luck that's going against us, the takeover and all that stuff. Yeah, right. It does impact how we're playing. Also, Erik Ten Hag, I think tactically, I think he's made a mistake this season. I was going to speak about this later on, but I may as well mention it now because I'm speaking about Mason Mount because it's directly linked. Erik Ten Hag started this season and he knew in his head he had the identity that he wanted this United team to play with, right? He wanted to play with one number 6, Casemiro, 2 aggressive number 8s, Bruno and Mount, and for Manchester United to become an intense, high-pressing team. And you saw that in the first, 3-4 games? Nobody had more high turnovers than Manchester United. Nobody had created more chances than Manchester United. Nobody had a higher XG. No, is it an XG than Manchester United? I think it was an XG. Anyway, we were winning the ball high up the pitch. However, the transition and the turnovers were just bad, right? They were just bad. Every time we lost the ball, Casemiro was isolated. And that's where I think Erik Ten Hag has got it wrong. Last season, he tweaked. After Brighton and Brentford, he stopped De Gea playing it out from the back short because he's like, well, it just doesn't work. I'm going to have to mitigate that for the time being, and then I'll reintroduce it a little bit later in the season. I think Ten Hag has to tweak his concept of this aggressive 2 number 8 system because it's just leaving Casemiro too isolated. And Casemiro and Eriksen as a double pivot, well, that doesn't work. So you can't use that as an alternative. So Ten Hag, I think, just has to be a little bit less aggressive. Just for now. Maybe it's just until everyone's fit. When you get Amrabat in that system, when you get Højlund ready to start every game, when you get Mason Mount fully fit again, and Varane and Shaw, then when you've got all of that, you might go, well, now we should try that system. But for the time being, I'll speak about that now, actually, we need results. Right? There was someone earlier who was like, oh, Man United don't just need a result, we need a performance. It's like, sod that. This Manchester United team, as it stands, with the injuries, with the form, with the confidence, we're not in a good place right now as a football team. We just need results, right? By hook or by crook, we need to beat Burnley at the weekend. I spoke about it on the podcast. Go and have a listen. But for me, I don't know if you can agree with me. You can let me know if you agree in the comments. Last season, that game against Liverpool felt so significant for Ten Hag because we lost against Brighton and Brentford. And then we play Liverpool at home. I don't think this is quite as big as that was, but it kind of feels a little bit like it. Right? It feels a little bit like this game against Burnley is just one where Manchester United have to get a result. After the bad run of games, after the pressure that is beginning, we have to beat Burnley at the weekend. Now, I don't know whether we're going to be seeing... that's the wrong thing. Don't know whether we're going to be seeing Mason Mount in the starting 11. I don't know whether we're going to be seeing Amrabat in the starting 11. I think we'll see Raphael Varane there. So fingers crossed we can see Amrabat as well. There's a couple of super chats here. Let me read these out. Don't want to miss these. Jay Law, you saying, hot take. Varane would be captain if not for injuries. It's not a bad shout. It's not a bad shout at all. I like Varane. It's just, oh man. I don't know if you have the same thing, but you just look at Varane, and I just constantly think, please don't get injured. Please. I don't know. Athletically, he can't trust his body. Are you just catching up with him? And he's just the injuries keep coming. Akil, what are you saying? Do you know Kelty McCarthy? I noticed he posted up on FB that he made, as you can see, the UP logo. Want to check if he's a mod or if he's stealing your content. I don't know who that is, no. Akil, if you can slide into my... Thank you very much, dude, for informing me there. If you can just slide into my DMs, you can let me know and I can try and chase up on that. And if it is someone stealing, we can just all chase them down. Let me see what you're saying in the comments here. Alex is saying this feels like we did go into the Brentford game. No, I don't think so. Brentford game, like we just lost the opening game of the season against Brighton. It was disappointing, yeah, sure. But this game here feels like if Manchester United don't manage to beat bottom of the league, Burnley, who have only got 1 point so far this season, then questions will rightly be asked. Even if there are, and there are, okay? There are mitigating factors. Some people might not want to speak about it, but there are. However, Manchester United still have a more than good enough squad to beat Burnley. And there's no excuses you can really have for that, no matter how many mitigating factors there are. Jonathan, you're saying, are we in a crisis if we don't win? I really, really, really just don't like jumping on the word crisis. It's just personal preference. I'd say there's going to be questions asked, like serious questions. The first time I personally questioned Ten Hag was after Brighton, just because of the manner of the defeat. It was kind of humiliating losing to Brighton in the way we lost to Brighton. You kind of look at Brighton and go, that's what we thought Ten Hag's team would look like. But alas, it wasn't. I don't think we're going to be in a crisis if we beat Burnley. But Man United have just got a really good, favourable run of fixtures. Burnley, back-to-back games against Palace in the League and the League Cup. Galatasaray at home in the Champions League. We've got to start stringing a set of results together, because football's a fickle game, ladies and gents. Man United lose 3 games, we're in a crisis. Man United win 4 games in a row, we're back. The swings are immediate. And just Manchester United are swinging low currently. Sweet chariot. So we need that result. I'll tell you one person I really, really, really am looking forward to seeing against Burnley is Rasmus Højlund, man. I spoke about Man United's signings, and we had this. I asked you this question yesterday, so I don't need to ask you again. It's just like how few just hit the ground running. Like Jude Bellingham's gone to Real Madrid and scored 6 in 6, and he just looks like a star immediately. Harry Kane's got 5 goals for Bayern Munich straight away. Hit the ground running. There's just not many signings that have done that in recent years at Manchester United. And Rasmus Højlund, all 3 of his appearances so far, from the bench against Arsenal, from the start against Brighton, and from the start against Bayern, I think Højlund has been really impressive. And I'm just it's a very positive start from him in a team which isn't particularly positive right now. And we need that. And I really it might be, you might say it's you might say it's overanalyzing or whatever you want to say. But I liked how kind of scrappy the goals that he scored were. Obviously the Brighton one didn't count, but it was just, he was in the right position at the right time. It was a good touch, and it was just stroke into the corner. Against Bayern Munich, it was a good touch in the box. Yeah, he got a deflection. Yeah, he might be scrappy a little bit, but it was just, they're the sorts of goals that strikers just gobble up. Any good striker should be scoring 10 goals like that, minimum. Probably more than that a season. Just kind of little scrappy ones. Just little scrappy ones. But it's been a really positive start for Højlund. Going to go down and read a few of your comments. Alex, you're saying Højlund seems to be improving game by game. He certainly seems happy. I love that photo, man. Like him listening to the Champions League anthem. He was like a kid. It was like that. That was funny. And you're talking about Bayern and Real Madrid both being better than, of course. Like, so it's far. It's not easier, but I suppose it is easier for Bellingham to settle in and shine immediately in a team which just operating as a team at a club, which is operating as a club. And the same goes for Kane at Bayern Munich, sure. But yeah, Bruno Fernandes is the only one at our club in recent years. It just come in, and he came into the toughest of circumstances, and he like dragged the club out of the swamp. So players can come in and have real strong impacts from the beginning at Manchester United as well. Jibak, thank you very much, dude. What are you saying, sir? Same goes with managers. Starting at Old Trafford, other clubs sign managers who deliver from day one. Every time we sign one, it's 200 million and a complete rejig. Well, dude, that's because we don't have a sporting director. Spoiler alert. It's because we don't have an overall vision at our club. If you look, if you were to like, I don't know why you would, but if you were to just like draw it on a graph, and you drew like the direction that we were going with Fergie, and then we went to Moyes, and it was like, it was like I wouldn't say Moyes was a U-turn. Fergie thought it would be a continuation on the way up, but instead it was just a vertical drop, just off a cliff, hero to zero with David Moyes. And then Van Gaal came in, and he like, okay, well that's, let's go for knowledge, let's go for experience, and that should work. And then the style of play, I still think that's the worst football we've seen post Fergie was Van Gaal. And that, I remember taking my dad to I think we played PSV at Old Trafford in the Champions League. I mean, it was 0-0. And it was that period where we had like 7 or 8 0-0s in a row. That was easily the most awful. I don't know how to describe that football. That's the worst football we've seen. But anyway, Højlund. Speaking about positives, Højlund. And speaking about another positive as well, is this man. It's so many United fans were absolutely slagging him. Completely writing him off before he kicked a ball for Manchester United. Didn't give him any leeway whatsoever. Oh, what are we doing? Club standards through the floor. Why are we signing Reguilon as emergency signing? Blah, 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 blah. And Reguilon has been a breath of fresh air. It's a sad indictment of our club as it stands with the attitudes and the fitness levels. The Reguilon comes in and just kind of looks like an athlete. Stands out as an athlete. Attitude-wise. You're looking at other players going, why are you not doing what he's doing? He's just signed on a 4-month loan. He's going back to Spurs. And instead, he's putting in more effort than so many other players around him. Really impressed by him. Let's see. Let's see what continues with him. But given that we've got Luke Shaw out for 4 months, if we can get Reguilon playing like that for a couple of months, happy days. Jonathan, you're saying he's always been a good attacking fullback, but he can't defend. We'll see. I suppose the real test is going to be what happens when we come up against City, for example. Is that later in October? I think it's in October. What are you saying, Danny? He was whipping the crosses. I wasn't used to that. Hey, Luke Shaw can do a little bit of a whip cross here or there. Uvara, Jan. How many goals do you think Højlund will score this season? I think he'll get 15. That I think would be a realistic and achievable aim for him. 15 goals, all competitions, 15 goals. What do you think would be a good opening season for Højlund? I'll be interested. That's a good question down there. Leave your answers and I'll go back and I'll read a few now. Do we have the squad depth to make top 4 and probably win a trophy? Well, I mean, our squad depth is really, really getting tested right now. I mean, I don't think we're ever going to have as many injuries as we've got right now. Right? Shaw's out for months. Wan-Bissaka's out for months. Varane's been missing for 6 weeks. Mount's been missing for 6 weeks. Amrabat's not fit to start. Kobe Mainoo's not fit. Tom Heaton's gone. And there's probably some others I missed as well. Anthony's not available. Sancho's not available. It's mad what's going on. So as it stands, well, I don't know. Let me see what you're saying. How many goals do you think he'll score? 25. Jonathan, you think 12. Stephanie, I was like, 292 goals. Greg, you think he'll get over 20. Kev, you think 30. Hey, come on in. Come on in. I think Robin Van Persie was the last Man United striker to get 30 goals in a debut season. I don't know whether I've just made that stat up myself. It feels like I kind of have. But I think it was him. And then Ibrahimovic was going to get it. And then he did his ACL in the Celta Vigo game, which is a real shame for him. I think he finished on, was it 28 goals, 29 goals that season? Something like that. But look, this game against Burnley at the weekend, right? It is not going to be good. It's not going to be easy. It is not. For United fans, I do not think it's going to be an enjoyable game to watch. Burnley, I said it on the podcast, and I've said it a few times now. Burnley's survival in the Premier League this year relies pretty much exclusively on whether or not they win their home games. Right? Obviously not completely, but pretty much exclusively. That's where they're going to be looking to get the majority of their points this season. And they just got their first point of the season. And Man United are a wounded animal. Now, I believe Lyle Foster's out. He's their centre forward. If you watched the game against, who was it? Was it Forest? I think it was Forest. He was good. Got a late goal ruled out as well, actually, and then got a red card, so he's not playing. It's going to be Burnley's cup final. I mean, it always is when you play Manchester United, but they've got a little bit of reason to be optimistic after the first point of the season, and because they're playing United right now, it's the perfect time to play United. We are a wounded animal, and that record there is absolutely, that's something that Erik Ten Hag definitely has to be embarrassed about. We've lost 18 of our last 35 away games. I think only West Ham have done worse. It's bad, that, isn't it? It's absolutely bad, that. But look, Laurie Whitwell from The Athletic saying this, and I think this is completely fair now, right? We need to see this Erik Ten Hag team, right? We do. I know there are injuries, right? I know there is still more to come. And trust me, I'm not going to be somebody who's just going to jump and throw Ten Hag under the bus and do knee-jerk reactions. It's not my style. But Erik Ten Hag has to get this team. He has to figure out a way to navigate the choppy waters, which is what it is right now. There's a lot of disruption at our club behind the scenes. There's a lot of disruption with that team. But as a coach, Erik Ten Hag has to steer this ship. Erik Ten Hag has to get this team, find that way in. There is a way to beat Burnley. Of course there is. They're bottom of the bloody Premier League. So he has to get this team and just bring them through. And somehow, and this is I do not know what is causing this, but whenever United concede, or even when United score, it's like we run out of battery for 2 minutes. Just pew. Everything and everybody just shuts off. It's bad. It's really, really bad. What's your predictions for the Burnley game? Fire them in the comments. I won't tell you mine because I'm going to do that in the starting 11 video. It's going to be going out at lunchtime today. But you can let me know. Is Luton bottom? I thought Burnley were bottom. Or did Burnley, because they got a point now, they're above them? Tell it. Oh, my bad. My bad. Burnley have got 1 point ahead of Luton 0. Jeez. Burnley have played 4 games, lost 3, drawn 1, conceded 12 goals, and they've got 1 point. All right. What's been their results? Lost 3-0 to City, 3-1 at home to Villa, and then 5-2 at home against Spurs. And then, of course, they got a draw against Nottingham Forest. Let's pull up your predictions. Let's have a look here. We score 4 without reply, says Vinny. Jeez. Someone's feeding chipper. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? 4-0, 3-0, 3-2. 4-1, says Lone Wolf. Scrappy 2-1 win. Dale Byrne, you're saying 2-0. United 3-0 win. Paula for a 3-1 win. Well, I'll tell you what. A lot of you are feeling confident, which is good. Because United have to be going to face Burnley and feeling confident. Doesn't really matter what's going on. They're on 1 point. Burnley played. Look, the good thing about this Burnley compared to the Burnley that we all remember is that Vincent Kompany has got Burnley playing a very different style of football. That's not Burnley. It's not Sean Dyche. All right. And that will help United a bit because Burnley will play a little bit of expansive football. They will leave spaces. They will try to play possession game and patient build up and break through that way. And United can break them down and get opportunities there. Oh, man, we need a result. Honestly, I do not care about the performance. There's some people down there talking about performances. I do not care. Just want the result. That's all that matters on Saturday. I don't care about the clean sheet. Don't care about who scores. Don't care about how many we score. I just want to win. And whatever that is, I'm fine with it. Hey, look, if we win 4-0, we keep a clean sheet, even better. But just get the win against Burnley United. Get the win against Burnley because it's just amazing what winning a game of football can do to the noise around your club and the momentum and everything else. We need to swing that. We need to swing it. We need to switch it. Right? That's what I think. I'm going to be doing my starting 11 show a little bit later on today. The last couple of minutes of the show, I'm going to bring the map up in a sec, but you can fire in your questions. It can be about football. It can be about United. It can be about anything you want. Let me see what you're saying down here. Gungshi, my man, you're saying 3 points is essential. Yeah. Gary, 8 o'clock Saturday night. I said this on a podcast yesterday. Like, the crowd's going to be hostile for United anyway, let alone 8 o'clock on a Saturday night when they are going to be smashed. Everyone's going to be drunk. Well, not everyone's going to be drunk, but a lot more people are going to be drunk at that game than they normally would be because it's 8 p.m. on a Saturday kickoff, which is going to make the crowd even more hostile, which these players seem to crumble in these environments. And you're saying the ability's there. It just needs to click. And when it does, we're going to batter a few teams. Jeez, man, how many times have we been saying that? At some point soon, it feels like a battering is coming. Now, the good thing is that we've got Rasmus Højlund in now. So when we were creating all these chances early this season, against Spurs, against Forest as well, and against Wolves, we just didn't have the striker. Now we've got that striker. So let's create those opportunities and get Højlund in the box because he will score them. Woo! What are we saying down here? Let's bring the map up now. Everybody, well, not everybody. There might be some. If you're new here, welcome aboard to United People's TV. Make sure you subscribe, join the community, and you might even get a gifted membership, or you could just join as well. Anyway, and then come onto Discord. Let me leave the link to the Discord. Discord is where it's at. There you go. Come join the Discord. Completely free. If you're a member and you link your YouTube to the Discord, you automatically join into the member-only groups as well. Now, the map's up. You know what to do. Let me know what town you're watching from and let me know the country too, and I'll get you onto the map. Who have we got? We've got South Africa, Nigeria, UK, Myanmar, USA, Thailand, Australia, Poland, St. Lucia, Lebanon, Namibia, Portugal, Malaysia, Germany. Honestly, it's like I think we've covered the most countries in the world. Maybe not most. It's probably a lot more countries that we need to cover. But there's a lot. Look at that. I don't know. I always like spotting ones that pop out at me. Philip, watch him from Busavaca in Bosnia. Let me see if this has got that. Buzo. There you go. From Bosnia. Welcome aboard, sir. Awesome. We've got watching from, let's have a look. We've got Thorborn watching from Langa in Denmark. How you doing, buddy? Nice to have you joining in. Langa in, there you go. Nope, wrong one. Thank you. Central region of Denmark. Welcome aboard. Let's get one more on here. What else we got? Honestly, you'd love this if you see. I say this every time, but it's awesome. How many people fire in where you're watching from? Let me just read some out. Karachi in Pakistan. We've got Ambon in Indonesia. We've got Kerkrade in the Netherlands. We've got Brighton, Michigan. We've got Grossuple in Slovenia. We don't have many from Slovenia. On you pop. Ross. So I don't know how to pronounce that. Was it Slovenia I went to? I think I love Slovenia. Is that right? Is that right? Is that just above Croatia? Let me zoom in. See where I did my little road trip. Yeah, it is. I did a big old road trip around here. What did I do? Let's zoom out. I drove down to Geneva, then went through the through the north of Italy, went to Florence, drove down to Bari, got a ferry across to Albania, drove up through Montenegro, drove up through Croatia, into Slovenia, into Austria, into Germany, and the whole way back round. Fun fact. Well, it's fun for me. You might find that a bit boring. But if you ever get the chance, go driving in Central Europe. It is beautiful. That part there, that region there is absolutely stunning. Is it a Dalmatian coast? I think it is Dalmatian coast. Bosnia's there. Right? Big up. It was a fantastic road trip. I'd love to do that again, but I don't ever get the chance. I'm working too much. But look, it's Friday. It's been another crappy week. Kind of bored of them. I really am. Saturday night, I'll be here. You know I will be. With my match reaction. If I can, I'll get the arms up and running. I've been slack on that. I really have. Sorry. I'll try and get it up and running on Saturday, but I'll be here on match reaction. I might be here live tomorrow morning, depending if something happens. If there's a lot to talk about, I'll do an impromptu. I say impromptu. I've just told you about it. Not impromptu. I'll do a show tomorrow morning. If not, I will be here tomorrow for match reaction. But anyway, have a fantastic weekend, everybody. I might see you tomorrow. I'll see you for the match reaction anyway. Much love. Big up to everybody who gifted a membership to the community. It is the best community in the world. A good times are coming at some point. I just don't know when.